For years, the Iraqi Dinar community has lived in a waiting pattern. Not passive waiting, but active watching. People tracked policy changes, bank behavior, and global signals, often daily. What started as a currency position slowly became a long-term commitment shaped by patience, skepticism, and hope. Many holders stayed through silence, setbacks, and constant debate, believing that if institutions ever moved first, the rest would follow. That belief is now being tested by something different. Not a rumor from a forum or an anonymous message, but a reported operational shift inside a major U.S. bank. Chase Bank is said to have changed how it handles certain foreign currency exchanges, including the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong. The reported change is simple on the surface, but heavy in meaning. Exchange limits that once restricted payouts are being removed. For context, those limits were one of the biggest barriers retail holders faced. Even when exchanges were technically allowed, banks capped how much could be redeemed in a day. That forced people into slow, staggered transactions that dragged on for weeks or months. It wasn't just inconvenient. It made real liquidity hard to access and turned any serious exchange into a drawn-out process filled with friction. Now, according to multiple industry reports, those caps are gone. That means a holder with verified currency could exchange their position in a single transaction. No forced delays, no artificial pacing, just execution at the branch level, using standard compliance procedures. If accurate, this changes the conversation in a real way. Banks do not adjust risk exposure lightly, especially not with currencies that have long been treated as volatile or speculative. When a bank like Chase alters its internal rules, it's usually after deep review. Legal teams, compliance officers, treasury desks, and risk managers all weigh in. These decisions are slow, layered, and deliberate. That's why this moment matters. It suggests a shift in how the institution views future demand. Not hypothetical demand, but expected demand. Removing limits implies the bank believes large redemptions are not only possible, but manageable. It also implies confidence that systems, liquidity, and oversight can handle volume without creating instability. Another key detail is pricing. Reports indicate Chase is now using live market rates instead of internal quote systems that often lagged or differed from global pricing. In the past, that gap created confusion and distrust. Holders never knew whether they were seeing a true rate or a padded internal number. Aligning with live institutional pricing removes that ambiguity. This timing doesn't exist in isolation. Iraq has spent the past several years reforming its financial framework. Budget discipline, banking transparency, and international engagement have all improved. As those reforms take hold, global banks face a choice. Stay conservative and risk being unprepared, or modernize early and capture future flow. This is where competition enters the picture. Banks don't operate alone. If international institutions in places like Dubai, Zurich, or Toronto begin handling these currencies more openly, U.S. banks feel pressure. No institution wants to lose high-value clients to foreign competitors over policy rigidity. That pressure extends into private wealth management. Reports suggest banks are not just processing exchanges, but planning what happens next. Funds from redemptions are being routed into structured products, fixed income options, and real asset vehicles. This turns a currency exchange into a broader financial transition. From the bank's perspective, this makes sense. A one-time exchange fee is small. A long-term client relationship is valuable. From the holder's side, it marks a shift from speculation into formal wealth planning. That transition is something many dinar holders have waited years to see. What's important here is execution, not headlines. Value only becomes real when it can be accessed without obstruction. Policy changes matter, but systems matter more. According to reports, Chase has already updated internal workflows. Appointments are being scheduled. Specialized compliance paths are active. This suggests the bank has moved past evaluation and into readiness. that readiness won't remain invisible forever. As awareness spreads, demand will rise, and when demand rises, pressure follows. History shows early participants often experience smoother processing. Later waves face more scrutiny as volume increases. That doesn't mean access disappears, but timing begins to matter. Preparation becomes critical. Anyone holding foreign currency should already have documentation organized. Purchase records, authentication paperwork, clear chain of custody, valid identification. These details often cause more delays than policy itself. Banks move faster when paperwork is clean and complete. Communication matters too. General customer service is rarely equipped for these transactions. Foreign exchange desks and wealth management teams are the right entry points. Being precise about what you're requesting helps avoid confusion and misinformation. Equally important is what happens after exchange. Sudden liquidity without a plan can create problems. Tax exposure, poor investment decisions, and emotional reactions all carry risk. This is where professional guidance matters. Tax advisors, financial planners, and estate specialists help convert liquidity into stability. Holding a currency for years creates emotional weight. When execution finally becomes possible, decisions can feel urgent. But urgency rarely produces good outcomes. A structured plan brings clarity at a moment when emotions run high. This moment represents a real shift for the Iraqi Dinar narrative. For the first time, institutional infrastructure and policy appear aligned. Not promised, not speculated, aligned in practice. That doesn't guarantee outcomes or timelines, but it does change the ground beneath the conversation. The system appears ready. What happens next depends on how individuals prepare, engage, and execute. This is no longer just about belief. It's about readiness meeting opportunity. And that is the difference between waiting and acting.